Welcome to my new studio. Well, at least the start of a new studio. So in this video, I want to take you step by step through the entire process of how I transform this space into my YouTube filming studio. And I'm doing it all with the help of ChatGPT. So I'm running all of my ideas through AI to try and build out the space. Now, I'm keeping it kind of hidden because I'm filming this part after it's done, but my goal is to create a cool, unique space that could be my YouTube studio, and I'm gonna do it all with the help of having conversations with ChatGPT. Can you help me visualize a YouTube studio that's the size of a one-car garage, and I want it to have an adventure theme that can serve as my base camp for making all of my videos?
What kind of style are you thinking for the next version? Maybe something like a rugged expedition outpost, a classic adventure library, or a modern explorer's tech-filled command center with a vintage twist. Let me know your vision.
And my idea with the space is that I kind of want to build like a set, like you look every direction and you could basically film in here so that it's not just one angle. On previous studios, I've had it set up where you have like a camera in one spot. I have a nice look behind it, and that's basically it. But with what I want to do with this space is really transform it and have the ability to shoot in different angles throughout it. I also want to make it more than just a filming space. Like obviously filming, editing, that's gonna be the big chunk of what I do in here. But I also wanna have like a place to chill, have a couch, and have just some different areas set up for all the different things that I'm doing with content creation. And I was thinking I could set up like a traditional desk setup here if I wanted to have this kind of like traditional YouTube set vibe, but then also be able to move the camera in different places as well. And just everywhere you look, it's gonna have like the same look and feel. And essentially what I wanna do with this space is really make this my base camp, like the place that I go on all of my adventures from, I go make all my videos from, and I just wanna have that kind of adventure filmmaking vibe throughout. And so that's gonna be my goal as I'm building out this studio, is I'm kind of keeping that adventure filmmaker theme in the back of my mind. And I've actually been using ChatGPT to help me ideate some different things I'm gonna do in this studio. And so you can see from these samples, I want to do things like transform the walls and make them feel like older wood or concrete building. And then I want to kind of have this vintage adventure filmmaker vibe throughout the entire thing with all the props and shelves and everything that I decided to put in here. The goal is to really transform this space and something I'm going to be super excited to come and work in every day. So let's start the process. So before I get started actually building anything, I needed to figure out the plan. So I started taking tape and marking out different places within my space to figure out where dressers can go and where a couch could go and where my desk could go. Because I really needed to visually see how much space different items are gonna take up and how much room I can have to have these different areas that I could film in. The next step was to figure out what to do with my walls. Holly, my ChatGPT, had a few different options for me, whether it was slat walls, reclaimed wood, or this concrete look. So I decided to go with the concrete look and feel, and I wanted to figure out how to do it with paint. So I asked Holly, what color paint should I use to create the walls?
Since your current base has a slight brown tint, choose complementary grays that lean slightly warm. Light gray highlights. Bear Pro Silver Drop, dark gray shadows. Bear Pro Mine Coal. These colors will blend naturally with your base while adding the dimension needed for a concrete effect.
To paint a concrete texture, I found this video on YouTube that showed this technique where you swipe the brush back and forth, creating swipe marks, and then you use a rag and just blot around. And this was a little bit challenging at first because if you don't get it right and you start blending too much, everything just turns gray. So it really took some time to figure out a good technique to be able to blend the gray with the silver and work them together to create these stripes of kind of white banding through the concrete dark gray. And the goal wasn't to create just one texture throughout, it was rather to create something that really felt organic. Even with this first step in my studio, it changes the vibe so much. And so from here, now that I have a dark look on the walls, I want to brighten up the space using different furniture and also just with the lighting. But before I could get into that, I had to first clean the space because there's just so much from my old studio in here. So what I wanted to do was kind of lay out everything that I had in my closet and start working on that next. The idea behind this closet is that it's going to be a workspace. So it's going to be where I can work on my gear and have access to everything. So I had this big table that I wasn't using anymore, and I added some new legs to it. Now from there, I really wanted to figure out what to do with the walls so it's more usable. And I got a pegboard from Ikea to test it out. So I got one to start just to see if I like these pegboards. And then I added some lighting around the closet just so that I can turn it on and have it super bright if I am working on some gear in here. And once all this was set up, it was time for another trip to Ikea to get some furniture. What color will look better in my studio? A light oak or a dark brown?
The better choice depends on the overall vibe you want to achieve. Recommendation: if your studio leans towards a classic, rustic, or rugged adventure aesthetic, go with brown stained oak veneer. If you want a lighter, more modern explorer vibe, choose natural oak veneer.
I decided to go with the oak. This way, my studio can have a little bit of a brighter feel with the darker walls. So I got two different bookshelves to go on either side of my desk, which is also this oak color. One of them is just shelves from the ground to the top, and the other one has some cabinets built in it. My idea is that I'm going to use the cabinets to store all of my computer equipment instead of having to use the rack case that I've been using in my previous studios. And so I went through the process of setting all of this up on my own, and it definitely took a lot longer than I thought it would. So that's pretty cool. This is just a little test to see the potential of this space. And I just put the camera up in a random spot, and I'm, lighting myself with one light that's at around 5,000 Kelvin, and then letting the background fall a little bit warmer with the light that's coming from, I guess, this lamp up top, and then this little practical. I mean, it's working how I want it to, where I could kind of position different directions and have different looks. And there will definitely be stuff on the walls, because right now it is empty. Now, one of the big issues with this space is the large flat walls and how much echo there is in this room. So I wanted to break that up with a few pieces. The first is a rug, and I actually got a couple rugs for the space. Now, the second thing I did for sound treatment was fix the door, because there is a lot of sound coming from outside the room. And I got these sound panels that were specifically made to cut out the sound going between your door and the outside. So I covered the entire door with these. And so I used these to try and block the sound so I could have it a little bit quieter in here. All right, so this took a while to put together. Not super happy with the way it looks, but it is gonna provide some layer of protection between what's outside and here in terms of audio. Yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily recommend this for a door cover. If you were to have a pattern where you mix up the squares, maybe it would work better, but with how it is, it's kind of, it just doesn't look that good. But at this point, I'm gonna leave it because, well, it's a door that I don't plan to shoot very often. It's in the background. It's not the biggest deal in the world. However, still got some echo going on. So there's a few other things that I wanna do to try and remedy the sound in here so it's not so echoey. First started when I didn't have anything in here. It was kind of a mess, but it's starting to break up the sound a little bit. I can still definitely hear an echo, especially over here, big flat walls. But I wanna do some sound treatment on the ceiling and then get a couch in here. And hopefully that will start to break up the sound and not make it so reverby around the space. What kind of couch should I get?
Material: worn leather. A vintage or distressed dressed leather couch is ideal. It gives a rugged, explorer vibe while being durable and timeless. Style: Chesterfield sofa. A low back, tufted leather couch with rolled arms works perfectly for the vintage explorer aesthetic.
That took a lot longer than I thought to build. I feel like that's the name of the game with the studios. Everything's taking a lot longer than expected. Now my biggest question is, what should I do with placement? Because right now the couch is not centered up with my desk over here. Also, my computer chair does not fit the vibe, but I'll have to deal with that next. I'm wondering if I should center the couch with my desk so that the whole room feels a little bit symmetrical versus like the desk is a little bit off one side, couch is off to another side. One of the reasons to have a couch in the space is with the monitor I plan to put on my desk, I want to be able to like sit here and watch something and not have to be in my editing chair that I normally use. So there's a few big things that I need to put together, and I really wanted to get my computer set up and this whole cabinet situation done and my monitor up. But I think one of the big things that I need to take care of is just all of this behind me. It's kind of a mess. I got, all my supplies out, camera stuff that's not organized. And so I think the next thing I need to tackle is get the closet set up. That way I can clean up everything in this space and then set up the essential parts. So for the closet, I decided to go all in on the pegboards I found from Ikea. And I wanted to just wrap every wall in them so it gives me space to hang gear and just put all my essential tools right here where I need them. All right, it's a start. It's not like fully set up how I want to have it set up, but I think this area is getting there. I have a tool chest here, which has a ton of camera parts. I've got different pegboards going on here. I'm gonna set up a charging wall on this side, and here I just need to get a few more parts. Basically organize this for stuff that I use and stuff that I need access to. And then I have like a cabinet down here, some different cases, and really I need to go through all of this stuff because I want to simplify everything that I have to just like the tools that I actually use. Speaking of a tool that I actually use, this just showed up, 28 to 70 f2. Expensive lens, it's a monster lens. When I tested it out, this lens was one of my favorites that I've worked with in a long time. So this will be my go-to for probably most of my client work. And then once in a while, I'll take it out for YouTube stuff as well. Just because it is so big and bulky, sometimes, I just want a smaller lens, like the one I'm shooting on right now. Now sound is getting better, but it's still an issue in this space. So I wanted to put something on the ceiling to help with the reverb. I found these felt tiles on Amazon, and so I decided to get some black ones to put up on the ceiling. Now I found out pretty quick I don't like the look of the black because it's gonna make this space too dark, especially doing the entire ceiling. So I decided I'm gonna pull these down and I'm gonna switch them for more of a camel color. But I have to wait for those to come in, so I'm gonna move on to my computer. And my thought around how I'm gonna set up my computer is that it's all gonna be hidden away in my cabinet. This way, everything's gonna stay super clean. And what I'll do is I'll run all of the cables through the back, and the only thing that I'll have is the monitor on my desk. Now, I used to use a 2-monitor setup, and I've been a little bit frustrated with this setup because I don't like to look so high on my second monitor, which I was using as a full screen viewer for when I was editing. So I decided to go a different route and do a 1-monitor setup. However, I didn't want to have a curved monitor or a super wide monitor. Instead, I decided to get a 42-inch Sony OLED TV, which will give me plenty of space to work on while also not being too big that it's overpowering in the space. And so with my computer setup, the only thing that you're gonna see is my keyboard and mouse on the desk with the monitor and my speakers, and everything else is gonna be tucked away. At one end of my studio, there's a big window. So what can I do with this space to be able to control the light and also have a design element that's gonna fit the studio?
Here's a mock-up of the corner of your room featuring sliding barn doors over the large window, blending functionality with your adventure outpost theme.
Out of these 3 colors, which one is gonna look the best in my space?
Considering the items you already have for your space, a brighter oak veneer desk, oak veneer cabinets, a brighter brown couch, and dark concrete textured walls, smoky gray Kona Coffee Barn door is an excellent choice based on the aesthetic you're aiming for.
Now the last thing to finish is the ceiling tiles. The camel color ones finally came in, and then it took some time to go through and stick them all on the ceiling and cut some of them to fit just right. But they made a huge difference in how the room sounds. And welcome to the Outpost. At least that's what I'm calling it for now. It's a working name. If you have any better ideas, let me know down in the comments. There's definitely gonna be things that I'm gonna add from here, but I think as I use this space, I'll start to figure out what I actually wanna do. So let me give you a little tour now that we're fully set up. So here's one potential setup, and this is just at my desk here. So I have the barn doors behind me, I have my desk with my computer, and I could put the camera over here, put a little light up here, and I could obviously tweak this depending on the look that I want, but I have the different lights in the space to be able to illuminate the background, give me some different looks, but I could also play with these barn doors. So if I wanted to have a more controlled look and less daylight coming in, I could close these and change the look of this set to have more complete control over my entire space and really play with the lighting. That was one of the biggest things that I wanted to do with this space, was give me full control of the lighting so that I could come up with some different lighting schemes depending on where I'm at. So when I'm here at this desk, if I want to have more of that darker, warmer feel, well, then I can play with the different color temperature of the lights in the background and then close off those barn doors and get rid of all daylight. However, if I want to have daylight spilling in, I can open these up, and then also I can play with the blinds that I have behind here to bring in more or less light. So I really have a lot of control with this space, having these barn doors put in there so that I can play with how that daylight is spilling in. And one of the really cool things is that in the morning, I get this beautiful light coming through these windows and it just shoots right through this room. So if I shoot in the morning, I can have that hard look of the blinds creating a nice pattern across the desk and the different dressers that I have set up and all of that. Lighting is huge, and I think that's one of the biggest things when it comes to a space. You can really create a cool look visually, but it's the lighting that really enhances what you do in your space. Now here is another angle where I could shoot somewhere on this couch, use the wall behind me, and it just has more of an organic, natural feel, you know, with the textured wall, the brown leather couch, and then the barn door. And I could swing this, you know, either direction because they're on tracks, and be able to really play with the look of this. Now in the corner here, I just put one of my small lights, and that can create some different ambience depending on what I want to do. So right now I have it set to more of a warmer tone, but I can make this more daylight, or I could just scratch it all together. And I have the daylight illuminating me here from this way, and I have another light set up over here. And so this could just be another spot that I want to shoot from, having more of a conversation. I could sit over here on the couch instead of having to be like in a specific setup area. And I could swing this around. Right now I'm on my 28-70 f2, so it is gonna be a little bit more punched in. It's not a full like 16, but I could do something like here and make it very clean, just the wall, couch, and that's it. And it just gives me some different areas to be able to shoot and create some different looks. Now, one of the big things that really mattered to me with this space when I was starting to develop this was creating like a warm environment, like a place that I wanted to come back to and work from and edit from and work on my videos from, not just be a studio. And so this is very much a space that I'm excited about. It just becomes more of an inviting space to be able to do everything in. And also like it creates separation. So when I'm here, I'm in the zone, I'm in the, you know, outpost, I'm working. Whereas when I leave that door, when I get out of here, it's like I go to a completely separate world. And that's like a big thing with how I want to structure my creative business in this year. Is very much have my focus and put all my time into what's going on in here when I'm working in here, but then have that separation. When I leave here, I'm not just so wrapped up in YouTube and everything that I'm doing. Rather, I have my space to work on my videos. I have my space to work on nonprofit, and I have my space to basically be creative. It just doesn't have to become all consuming in everything that I do. Let's look at another spot. Cool, check this out. This is where I could do more of the typical desk setup that you see in a lot of creators' videos. And a lot of my older videos, I used to have a desk like this, and that was like my one set. However, let's fix the lighting. All right, so now I've controlled the light a little bit more. I put basically 3 lights that illuminate different pools back here in my workspace. And I have my desk here that I can talk about things in. I have this set of aperture bulbs, a pretty cool way to be able to just add more depth to the scene. And so I'm gonna probably do some different things with the wall over here, maybe something in the back, but you could see like up by my door, I got this old rustic looking pendant style light, and it's hanging above my door, and I got this as a test. because this style of lighting could be really cool to add a few more lights throughout the space. I wanted to evoke that sense of adventure. I wanted to kind of dive into that vintage look, a little bit of like the early explorers, and just have that kind of feeling throughout my entire space. And with this desk setup, I could flip around, shoot this direction, and it has a completely different look. And the big thing is when I was designing the space, it was thinking about it as a whole, thinking about every corner and thinking about every piece kind of working together. Even just standing here, looking at this door, which didn't come out the best, still is a cool looking shot because I have the, set up here, I got the light hanging over my shoulder. And like this could even be a cool shot. Overall, I'm super happy with the way that this turned out. And it's just exciting to be in this kind of a space, be in something that I've like thought about in my head for so long, because every studio that I've been in, I feel like it's been a progression. It's been working my way up to the point to figure out what it is I actually want to have as my space. I've tried so many different things, from like a geodome to like building a video wall, and also just creating just like a YouTuber set with some gear in the background and some colored lights. I've tried a bunch of different things, and I think now I finally got to that point where I'm super excited about my studio, and like I want to come here and make videos. And I think a big part of being able to get the look that I want out of my studio was working with AI, where I could actually have Holly giving me different ideas or different things to think about when I'm building out my space and give me different choices. Going through this process helped me focus and actually just make steps forward to be able to push me in the right direction. So I'd love to know your thoughts down below in the comments on this space. And if you want to see any of the parts that I use to put this all together, I'll put some affiliate links down below in the description. It has most of the stuff that I've used, but a lot of this was just Ikea, Wayfair, and just like using stuff that I already had around my previous studios. But if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be doing a lot of adventure and filmmaking style content on this channel, and I'll see you on the next one.